and also on 3 News on YouTube. I'm Alfred Conce. And as remember, so as we go on, there are so many ways that you can connect with us. In fact, when we advertised earlier that the Finance Minister, Dr. Ato Forson, is going to be joining us, a number of you sent in your questions, so we'll make it as interactive as possible. He's joined us in the studio, by the way. Dr. Ato Forson, Finance Minister and Acting Defense Minister. Good morning to you, Doc.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You've been busy.
Yes, but I'm used to it.
The past few days,
I'm used to it.
Right after the budget, you've been talking, granting a lot of interviews, and this morning you're here. The Finance Ministry itself is a huge portfolio. It's one that would give you sleepless nights. Then you are Acting Defense Minister as well. How are you handling the two?
I think it's a matter of how you position yourself and how you share your time and what you do with the time. And there is currently at the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Finance is quite a structured place, and I have a very strong deputy who assists me. And so based on what we do, I know who does what and who has to pick certain file and who doesn't have to. And so I share my time in between, and it is really going well.
I see. How many hours do you get to sleep?
Thank you, Alfred. Alfred, sleep, I get a lot of time to sleep because I get home maybe 10, 11, and I'm able to sleep to up to 6. So I think I'm able to.
So there's enough time?
Yes.
I see. Because handling these two ministerial portfolios, cabinet ministerial portfolios, by the way.
One is temporal, though.
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
but you're still having to hold it up. I mean, the benefits now is that the defense sector will get a lot more of your attention.
Yes.
And we see it reflected in the budget. And I always held the view that as a finance minister, in presenting the budget and assessing the state of the economy, it's not only about what you say.
Exactly.
It's a lot more about how people feel.
Exactly.
And if you look at even the global landscape, assessing the state of the economies, you don't just stick to the GDP.
You do more than that.
The gross national happiness and so on.
Yeah.
So you go to the people. In fact, prior to the media budget review, you went to Makola, engaged some market women. This one as well, I saw that you went to the Kotokraba market, and then also another market in the central region.
Yes.
Right?
I think I started from the market circle in Takrady.
I see. And when you go to people, what do they tell you?
Okay. I go to people for a reason. You have been appointed to be the one to manage the affairs of Ghana's economy. And in the process, you have to allocate resources to solve some priority needs of the state. Policy making is more than sitting in an office and obviously coming out with the policy. It also involves consultation. And I take steps to consult the people before we come out with a policy that will work well with ordinary Ghanaian. And so, given the opportunity as Minister of Finance and reading the first budget, there was the need to consult, even though I had a lot more idea of what is exactly wrong. Remember, I've been in the system for some time. I've been a Deputy Minister of Finance for 4 years. I've been a ranking member of the Finance Committee of Parliament for 6 years, in fact 7 years. And then I've also been a minority leader for 2 years.
That's right.
So in between the last 8 years, I knew exactly what may have gone wrong. And coming to office, I knew exactly where to go and how to fix it, because clearly I've been aware of how things have gone over the years, particularly between 2017 to 2024. However, I needed to get it validated. And so I went to the market, solicit information, and it confirmed exactly what I was hoping to hear. And not only that, I noticed that the situation was far worse than I thought.
The situation you
at the market,
interacting with the people
yes,
was far worse.
Far worse than I thought. And so I designed a policy that interacted very well with the situation so that the situation can be reduced.
I see.
Lo and behold, the prescription has worked, and today we are seeing the benefits. But it goes more than the benefits. Now confidence is back. We are confidence is back. An economy, you need confidence to be able to run a good economy. You need the confidence of the people that you are managing their affairs. You also need the confidence of your stakeholders, even outside Ghana. And most importantly, credibility is also important. It is important in the sense that you should be credible. Your policies must be credible. You yourself has to be credible. The government must be credible to be able to win the confidence of the people that you are managing their affairs. And clearly, the work that President Mahama is doing is supporting the credibility and is helping build the credibility that our policy needs. Today, I can say that the storm has passed. We can see clearly that our economy has regained its rhythm. Now, it is up to us to move from stability to progress. And what I'm trying to do in the 2026 budget is first to consolidate the stability that we have seen. And that, for me, is something that we have no choice than to do. We need to consolidate the gain and cement it so that it can give us growth going forward, not only to 2026, but beyond. That is what we are trying to do, and that becomes our number one priority. Then number two, the second priority will be that we use the stability that we are seeing to be able to accelerate some development. And so you will notice that in the budget that we presented, we have identified some 4 key areas for significant investment. And so you will see that government of Ghana is investing heavily in agriculture. We are investing heavily in what we call the big push.
Yes.
We are investing heavily also in energy. And so these are key areas that we are investing. But that is not all. The other 2 important areas that is of importance to us, the social sector. And so you could see education and health getting some significant allocations and policies to drive education and to make education better and make healthcare also better.
See, so I look at the 3 areas, the broad areas that this budget is anchored on: achieving fiscal consolidation, job creation and accelerated economic growth.
Correct.
And then strengthening security and social sectors. I want to clear a few things off the table. A couple of days ago, you had the unpleasant duty of as acting defense minister, going to parliament to tell the nation essentially about what had happened as a result of this stampede at Elwak. 6 people dead, all female. Avoidable death, you say?
Yes, I think so. It's sad that I'm even commenting about it. This shouldn't have happened.
It shouldn't have happened.
But unfortunately, it has. I think on behalf of the president, I went to Parliament to express our condolence to the bereaved family in particular. It's unfortunate. My deputy at the Ministry of Defense led the Ghana Armed Forces to visit the bereaved families, and yesterday they were in some parts of the country. And inquiry is on the way. And so I don't want to go into the details yet. I want to allow the Ghana Armed Forces to finish their inquiry. And when the inquiry is done, we'll be able to brief the public as to what exactly occasioned that unfortunate incident.
Because you already talked about some reforms. That's one of the things that you touched on.
Yes.
Apart from the investigation to establish exactly what's happened.
Correct.
People must be held accountable.
Of course. But you don't need to jump the gun. You need to first get it investigated and use the information based on the outcome of the investigation, to reform and, where possible, hold people accountable. But you won't be able to have the full information at a glance, otherwise you may end up making a mistake. And so, working with the Chief of Defence Staff, we agreed to immediately commission an inquiry. And as I speak, the military inquiry is on the way, and very soon we'll get a report for us.
A military inquiry?
Yes.
I see. Because there are quite a number of reforms that have been seen already announced. At least the Interior Minister is talking about staggering the numbers, so that if you're having 1,000 in a day, you do 500 in the morning, 500 in the afternoon, and then also you're getting more centers as well, so that you go through the process a bit more faster. I mean, there are those who are of the view that even prior to this moment, the late Dr. Manubama was already mulling the idea of changing this process.
You notice that this very recruitment was designed largely to decentralize and to reduce the numbers. And that is why, unlike the past, where everybody comes to Accra, we decided to send it to the regional capitals. But I mean, it is obvious that Accra and Kumasi in particular has more numbers. So probably they should have divided it into 2 or 3 groups. But the numbers we are seeing, for example, in Accra is not the same as the numbers we are seeing in the central region, or maybe in the upper east or upper west regions. These regions cannot be the same as Greater Accra or Kumasi or Ashanti region based on size or the number of people that lives in. However, let's still wait for the inquiry, and I'm sure after the inquiry we'll be able to ascertain what actually occasioned this. And one good thing about inquiries is that it doesn't only gives you information as to what happens, but you use that information to also come out with reforms. And we believe that those reforms will be enough those outcome will be enough to propose some reforms. But I can assure you, we will certainly reform the recruitment process going forward. I see. And the Ghana forces are keen on that.
Will look like on that. And let me just quickly move into what is contained in the budget in this regard, because there are quite a number of things that were captured. And I want to know, what's the specific allocation in terms of recruitment into the security services?
We are recruiting 10,000.
10,000?
10,000 across the security services.
That's the Army, Air Force, Navy,
Air Force,
Police.
Navy, no. The Army, Air Force, the Ghana Armed Forces, one, and then we have the police, we have the fire service, and we have the immigration. All put together is 10,000.
10,000.
Yeah, across.
I see. But we understand almost 60,000 people applied. 30,000.
But we are picking 10,000 at this moment.
For this.
Yes, for this recruitment.
10,000.
Yes.
Any plans for the backlog? Because there hasn't been mass recruitment for quite a while.
So let me put it this way. We have training institutions. So you don't just recruit them and don't train them.
True.
So there is a capacity that you cannot exceed. So they will have to go to the training schools and all. And from the work we've done for the 2026 fiscal year, we can comfortably recruit and train 10,000 across the sectors. And that's what the budget has provision for.
10,000 across the sectors. The defense budget is fixed for next year is quite audacious. I mean, in this budget, over 10.7 billion budgeted for 2026. And from what I'm seeing, about 25% for revamping the Air Force alone with 4 modern helicopters. 4 modern helicopters. When is the procurement for these helicopters starting?
Okay, so you know, helicopters are not off-the-shelf items that you can easily be able to purchase. We have begun the discussion with the helicopter manufacturing companies. And let me put this on record. We are not engaging any third party. is the Ghana Armed Forces directly talking to the manufacturers and giving them their specifications. And I can assure you that the Ghana Armed Forces will get value for money. These helicopters may take up to 4 years.
4 years?
4 years.
To deliver?
To deliver.
So are you manufacturing it from scratch?
They have to.
You are not buying used ones?
No, it's not used ones. They are new helicopters fitted with modern gadgets, and they are buying it from scratch. And then it's our belief that it will take 4 years to get the entire full. Probably they may get 1 or 2 before 4 years, but the entire 4 will be ready in the next 4 years. And that is the decision of the ministry between the Ghana Armed Forces and those that are selling. In the coming days, we'll be going to Parliament to present those agreements to Parliament for discussion. Ghana Armed Forces, particularly the Ghana Air Force, is about agreeing to the terms. And then whenever the terms are ready, we'll take it to Parliament for approval.
I see. Because we've had instances in the past where you use aircraft were bought.
Yes.
We've seen the consequences.
Of course.
And flowing from the back of this, the investigative report on this unfortunate incident, the crash on August 6, that the lack of these updated equipment in the aircraft, all of this is going to be addressed with the purchases you're doing.
Exactly. And that is why we have left it to the Ghana Air Force to be able to assist the government acquire the required helicopters to support the operations.
Apart from this, you're purchasing one large range aircraft and one medium range aircraft
yes,
for the Ghana Air Force.
Yes. So that is also being discussed. The Ghana Air Force is working with the manufacturers also directly to identify the type of aircraft that they will require. And again, from what we see, that will also take another 3 to 4 years before we get that. But it's obvious that you are building a country, and we need to begin the purchases now so that hopefully the next 4 years, by 2029, we'll have this one long range and one short range aircraft for the Ghana Air Force.
Are you going to be using this for executive travels as well?
It depends on the president of the day, but the Ghana Armed Forces obviously has a responsibility to pilot the president or executive anytime the president is traveling around.
The criticism about this is that what exactly is the need for this? And why you even purchased it? That's one of the questions that the minority asked yesterday.
So let me come to you on this. The former president spent quite a lot of money chartering planes and, obviously using it for official duties. Have you considered the cost of chartering to the state as compared to the cost of buying? Today, we may spend, let's say, $50–60 million to buy an aircraft, enough to be used by the state and secure the safety of not only the president, but also the executive, and also be available for other use for the state. $50–60 million. Now, if you go back to history, you notice that the charterings that has been happening alone may be equal or more than the $50 million United States dollars that we have spent. And so I ask myself a question. Is it necessary for us to charter at all? And thankfully, the current president has not done any chartering for himself. And then obviously he flies commercial when he has to, but he cannot continue to fly commercial. John
Mahama has never chartered a flight since he became president.
Have you seen him charter one? Have you seen him charter one?
No.
He's not chartered one. As long as I'm concerned, I've not seen him charter a plane for his use. No, he uses commercial flight. And there are instances that we've seen him even use Jata, his brother's plane, to support his travels. But obviously, there was the need for us to have an executive flight. The truth is, purchasing an executive flight doesn't mean the president will be the one to use it. It may take 4 years. You remember, President Kufuor purchased flight, the current Falcon, was purchased by President Kufuor. But he never had opportunity to use it until he left office. Another president came and used it. But we are building a country. The fact that President Mahama may not be the one to use the plane for the state does not mean it should not be purchased. There will be a president in future. This country is a going concern. And so there's the need for us to have a flight worthy of the Republic of Ghana.
I see.
That's what we're
So taking into consideration the expected date of delivery to be in the next 4 years, all things being equal, I mean, even though it's John Dramani Mahama who is starting the process of procurement, he's not the one going to use it.
Exactly.
I see.
Exactly.
You see, and that leads me into, because it is all of, it's expenditure on the books of the state, which you captured in the budget. And so let's go straight into expenditure. I'm running through the issues because of the limited time that we have. For expenditure for 2025 as compared to 2026, I've seen it go up by 12.4%. Confirm that for me.
Correct. It's going up.
2025, we saw 268 billion total expenditure and appropriation 293 billion.
Correct.
You want to increase expenditure in 2026 from 268 billion in 2025 to 302 billion. And appropriation probably go up by about some 64%. Where are you getting the money from?
So revenue is equally going up by the same magnitude. The change is largely coming from revenue. And this revenue is coming, obviously, from the reforms that we are doing. The VAT reforms, as you see, is revenue neutral, but we have actually engaged in comprehensive domestic tax reforms. There is modified tax that we recently launched. We are improving revenue, customs revenue at the ports, and we are introducing an AI-driven data ability to be able to match imports to revenue and get the necessary required revenue that we need to be able to run the economy. And so what we see here is that even though we are not imposing a tax, revenue is going to go up by the same quantum of which we have increased the expenditure. And so you'll notice that the primary balance on commitment basis remains 1.5% of GDP. And then this time we've loosened the austerity a bit and bringing in the needed revenue through, compliance. And the revenue is what we are going to use to drive the reforms that we see.
And because you talk about compliance, this is what the Guta people sent me when you got in. They say that the 20% effective VAT rate, and even before I get into their concerns, one of my guests is going to be joining us, Professor Godfred Bobkin, had indicated that yes, you reduce effective VAT rate from 21.9 to 20%. Maybe if you had gone down a bit to 19%, you would have had some effective impact.
I think he may have a point, but the question is, we are 22%. Going to 9% will mean that I'm cutting about 3 percentage points. I believe in, yes, going down, but going down gradually. So I've done the first cut from 22 or 21.9 to now 20%. That's the first step. I'm going to introduce measures such as introducing fiscal electronic devices to be able to collect the VAT. And I'm going to introduce VAT cashback promotion to be able to raise the revenue. If I'm able to raise that revenue and even do better, then the subsequent budget, I'll be compelled to come down even further. And so it's an approach, it's something that we need to plan over a period of time. But I can agree to extend that today, Ghana's effective VAT rate remains the highest in entire Africa at 22%. The entire Africa. And the distortions makes it even worse. Hence the need to reform. And so we've come out with reforms that will assist. And we believe that these reforms will work. Now, from reducing it from 22 to 20% makes Ghana quite competitive. But it's still high. Morocco is 20%, Ghana is 20%. Currently, we're at par with Morocco. Others are between 15, 18, and 19%. And so that is where we are. I think at the right time, we'll be able to bring it to 19, even lower. But I think where we are now, I'm cautious enough to stay at 19. But the optimal level, I'm cautious enough to stay at 20. But the optimal level, maybe below 19.
So we're saying, I get the sense, all things being equal, if this 20%, you assess it, over this period,
you see,
there's a possibility it could go down.
There is a huge possibility that it will go down. Currently, our VAT structure, in fact, the VAT has more or less collapsed.
VAT has collapsed?
More or less.
What do you mean?
VAT gap is quite huge. A lot of people are collecting the VAT, but they're not paying the VAT. Some are not actually paying what is due the state. Obviously, because the rates became so high, and so the compliance rate also dropped. The reforms we are putting in place will revive the VAT. And in reviving the VAT, we expect that revenue will go up. And when revenue goes up, and we can see that everybody is paying its fair share, their fair share, now we can have a conversation around that. Then we can graciously reduce the VAT from where we are to levels that will be optimal to support both business and individuals. Ghana's VAT regime is the only VAT regime I have seen in the world that combines VAT and sales tax at the same time. You have different layers, some flat rate, some 3%, some 6%, some paying VAT rate. In some cases, some of them you can deduct input-output, some you cannot deduct input-output. I don't know how come we allow this to be distorted over a period of time. But hey, this is where we are. It needs to be reformed. We are reforming that. We did not only change the rates, but we also moved the VAT registration threshold from 200,000 Ghana cedis to about 750,000 Ghana cedis. What this means is that small-sized businesses will now be exempted from the collection of the VAT. In fact, the Ghana Revenue Authority will deregister you as the VAT registered person. And then after deregistering you, it will mean that you will not charge VAT. So today, if you are small, below 750,000, when Parliament passes the law, you will not be charging VAT any longer.
I see. So that's if your capital is
exactly
750,000.
No, if your annual turnover is less than 750,000, you will not be charging VAT.
You will not be paying VAT.
Yes. You will not charge VAT. And so the person buying from you will not be paying VAT. And so your prices will come down and we will relieve you from that. But on the same VAT, let me also say that there's always been VAT on prospecting and the recognizance and prospecting for for minerals. Now, over the years, there has been a strong lobby, not only that, but strong concern to get that VAT removed. In all honesty, after careful analysis and benchmarking it across other countries, in fact, no country that I have seen around here has VAT on recognizance. And so government has taken a decision to remove that VAT and attract investment in mineral exploration. And so that is another thing that we have done. And then we have also extended the zero rated VAT for textiles and garment industry up to 2028.
I see. This is the Guta concerns because this is one area that answers part of their issue. Dr. Joseph Obeng, their president, the Guta president, says before the budget was ready, the talk was simplicity, uniformity, and affordability of tax. Informal sector was paying 4% flat rate. So putting the VAT at 20% has sort of affected them in a way, then it pushes them up to that 20%.
No.
Now, it says the reforms has brought segregation into the market. Some will pay, others will not, and that would make business uncompetitive for some of his members.
Okay, so flat rate is sales tax. The Ghana does not operate sales tax. We operate input VAT made up of collecting being your ability to be able to collect tax and not be able to collect tax. And so what we do here is to exempt companies that do not have the ability to keep those records. So if you do not have the ability to keep records, simple put, we'll exempt you from the charging of VAT.
Okay.
The segregation he's talking about is that in the same market, you have some companies that have thresholds or sales more than 750,000 Ghana cedis per annum. Those who charge VAT.
Okay.
But those companies that do not have turnover up to 750,000 will be exempted from the charging of VAT.
Okay.
But that is the concept everywhere else in the world. In fact, GUTA themselves were consulted heavily in the design of this very tax.
I see.
We have just returned to where we used to be.
Consulted them.
And then, so the consultation was quite deep. We did a lot of consultation before we introduced.
Prior to your coming, we went to the Makola market as well. One of the concerns they have, they say there are some Chinese who have rented a warehouse behind the Cocoa Board area, and that's in the heart of the Central Business District. And they open at 1 a.m. and they sell and close at 5 a.m. So the VAT authorities are not able to even identify them that they are doing their work. So by 6 a.m., the warehouse is shut and they are selling at very low prices. And, she says inferior goods. We are not able to, also confirm that. But he says that for Ghanaian businesses, when they don't pay taxes, GRA comes at them. These are the people who have devised ways of taking advantage of the loopholes in the system. So he said,
1 a.m. to 5 a.m. Thank you. I've taken note. I've written that, and we'll investigate the matter.
And let's get into a bit more on because you touched on the revenue and the fact that even though you have expenditure increasing by over 12%, you have corresponding revenue increases that will knock it off. Yeah. But we're saying as well that you've abolished COVID as you promised in the mid-year budget. And the criticism was that it didn't happen earlier. I remember we spoke after the budget, you indicated you were doing some engagements, and then the broader reforms would lead to the COVID levy being repealed or abolished. The COVID levy alone is taking some 3.7 billion.
Correct.
Of the revenue that you would have used.
Of course.
And the larger reforms altogether, 6 billion. Cedis. How are you going to make up for this?
Okay, so I think I mentioned the introduction of fiscal electronic devices to be able to collect the VAT, and then also enhance compliance measures that the Ghana Revenue Authority will be introducing. The two put together means that even though we have given back about 6 billion Ghana cedis to households and businesses, the Ghana Revenue Authority will be able to collect the needed tax as estimated. And these taxes will come a long way to be able to support the development of our country. But Alfred, let me say this. Tax policy, the design of tax policy is a complex one. And oftentimes, a lot of people think that increasing rates is what actually leads into the revenue. But it's not always the case. There's an optimal level that you have to reach. And if you are to cross that optimal level, and if care is not taken, it will rather bring your revenue down. Unfortunately, this is what has happened to Ghana's VAT regime. And so, previous administration in particular thought that the easiest way to get revenue is through VAT because it's consumption tax. And so they were jacking the rate left, right, and center anytime they needed revenue. As a result, they distorted the tax. And for example, started introducing taxes such as flat rates within the same VAT regime and distorting the entire tax regime. Now, what we have done, bringing the rates down, actually giving reliefs to Ghanaians in the form of removing the value added, the COVID levy, and then also removing the cascading. We are giving back 6 billion cedis. But you see, we are giving back 6 billion cedis to the honest taxpayer, the honest taxpayer, the person who collects those taxes and pays to the state, the person who pays his tax. We are giving back 6 billion cedis to them. But we are also going to make sure that those dishonest ones are made to collect their taxes and pay it properly. At the same time, that will mean that we are actually jacking up the revenues that will come up. And so you give it up for you, if you're an honest taxpayer. Your business, for example, you are going to have about 5-6% reduction in your cost of doing business. And so that 5-6% reduction of cost in doing business will give some money back to yourself. You'll be able to increase your profitability. You may be able to employ and maybe plow back some of the resources for the growth of your business. And that is exactly what we are trying to do.
And I look at Appendix 2A
yes.
of the if you get to that, the summary of the
yes.
central government operations
yes.
as captured in the budget. And the revenue lines, I mean, personal income tax, company tax, that's the corporate taxes, oil receipts, custom taxes,
yes.
VAT, all of these revenue lines underperformed in the year under review.
Okay. So,
but I see that the COVID levy was one of the consistent ones that did quite well because it was obviously tied to VAT. But it's going to be off our books. So with all of these revenue lines not doing too well, how then are you going to make up for this?
So
you see what I referenced?
No, but let me explain. What you are making reference, there's an underlying reason around it. You know, economic management is give and take. Customs revenue, when we were preparing the budget, we used, at the time, the exchange rate was about 16.4. So that was the time, the exchange rate. And so we estimated the exchange based on the revenue, based on what will come in, the volumes, and then using the exchange rate. Today, the city is about 10.92. And so it cannot be that you get the same revenue as estimated. And so that could be a reason. You have oil revenue. You also have mineral income, which is coming from royalties. And so these royalties and oil revenue in particular is based on volume and also the forex that you bring in. So you may have hit the volume, but if the income comes to the United States dollars and you convert it into Ghana cedis, you may see a lower revenue.
Absolutely.
And so it is not because the revenue is underperforming, it's because of some positive news in the economy. And you know, there's always give and take. And so the positive news is that it has also reduced inflation, it has brought prices of goods and services down, but in return, you will notice also that the expenditure line is also going down. It's going down in the sense that there are certain expenditures that were also pegged in dollars. We are servicing our debt in dollars, and so when it also goes down, then it means that you gain from there. So the net effect is what matters most, and I can confidently say that the net effect is very important.
You see, and that's why, because if you look at the Bank of Ghana's, when then they released a report on our FX inflows, even though the appreciation of the city is commendable, it also impacted on especially export revenue.
Yeah, it's normal. I don't think there's an issue with that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So then we're seeing that
there's always good give and take. I don't think there's
so the city appreciation, yes, good news, but we're also having to deal with how it's impacting on our revenue.
You have to look at the overall impact on the economy of the people of Ghana. I think it has been amazing for the overall impact. And so there's always positives and negatives. But what will be the net effect for you and for me and for the country? And we believe that I think it is good for the country.
Let's clear this, the expenditure, because I see the breakdown in 2025. Employee compensation was 76 billion thereabout. That is wages and salaries payment. Now in 2026, is going to increase to 90 billion.
Yep.
That is salaries,
Yep.
wages, 90 billion.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So how are you pegging that with measures to measure and improve productivity? Because,
Okay.
I mean, obviously, we can't be, that's about a chunk of our tax revenue.
Yeah, it's massive. I think it's over 45% of
About 47% the last time I checked.
Of tax revenue. But let me put it this way. You certainly need to remunerate government sector workers and even recruit some to a degree. We recently negotiated wages at 9%. You have to make provision to pay.
Yes.
Recently, we issued financial clearance also for about 13,000 health workers, another 13,000 education workers. All put together, you have to make provision to pay. We are currently going through enlistment processes from both Interior and Defense Ministries, the Ghana Armed Forces, Ghana Police Service, Immigration, Fire, all put together. We have estimated 10,000 recruitment.
Yes.
That must be done, and you have to pay. And so all of that put together, based on doctors, nurses, and everything put together, giving you will give you the 90 billion cedis.
But give me an idea of the backlog of the unemployed who are that is in the health and education sector. You said 13,000 in education, 13,000 in health. So that's about 26,000.
That is not the backlog. That is what we have.
You have done
currently recruited. I think the backlog is more than that. The Ministry of Education alone says their backlog is about 78,000.
78,000.
And then made up of teachers and I think both basic, secondary level, about 78,000. And I think they also mentioned the fact that the universities had to recruit. And all put together, they were talking about 78,000. 78,000. And so you need to quantify how much it will cost the state to be able to pay these numbers if they are recruited. Currently, they have not recruited 78,000. We just gave them financial clearance for 13,000. I was surprised to have noted that since 2021, the backlog has been there since 2021. And some, particularly teachers and non-teaching staff requirement, they are behind since 2021, particularly in the area of healthcare also. We have nurses that have not been posted since 2021 and 2022.
Wow. And well, see, this is an issue. It's a whole big matter that we'll have to deal with if we get into it, because even before you're coming, quite a number of the health professionals who are awaiting financial clearance also sent messages asking when. The 2023 year group says, when are you going to give them financial clearance for them to be employed? 2024 year group, someone also sent us a message. That is for the nurses who have completed their training, awaiting clearance to be employed. The teachers as well sent a message. So this answers the question.
So you've seen that even what we've done alone is given the government of Ghana will need 90 billion cedis to be able to pay these public sector workers. And an attempt to increase it without estimating the cost may push you to 100 billion plus. And clearly it may crowd out certain social spending. Because if you are to employ a teacher, yes, you have to pay the teacher, but you should also be mindful that you need to build a school and keep the school in a shape that the teacher can be in the school to teach. Sure. If you employ a nurse, you need to make sure that there is a hospital for the nurse to be able to go into the hospital and provide her service to support the national building.
Well, CAPEX is one area as well that I know that you haven't to have looked into as well. Capital expenditure is going up from 33 billion cedis in 2025 to 57 billion.
Yes, correct.
In one fiscal year, capital expenditure is increasing by some 23 billion. How do you intend to deal with this? And much of it is on roads, I see.
So, you know, the president has announced his flagship Big Push program, and we are using the gains that we have made, the economy, and the additional revenues that are coming in. We are sending majority to be able to build our roads and to invest in some critical sectors of the economy. And so that is exactly what we are doing. The numbers you are seeing are correct. It's 57 billion, actually. And Big Push alone is getting about 30 billion Ghana cedis for the 2026 fiscal year.
And you have 4.3 billion for the Ministry of Roads and Highways.
Correct.
For road construction.
Correct.
And this also captures the bush.
Yes.
Big
no,
push?
That is different from the Big Push. The ministry itself has their own budget of 4.3 billion cedis. Remember, the ministry is an MDA. They have their routine maintenance and others that they do. They have contracts that they have awarded in their books, and they will have to have their budget. And that is the 4.3. Aside that, we have about 3 billion cedis going to the Road Maintenance Trust Fund. That is coming from the other things like fuel levy, the road tolls and all. So that is the source of revenue coming from there. So beyond the 30 billion, the Ministry of Roads and Highways is getting another 3 billion and another 4.3 billion. So that gives you approximately 37.3 billion Ghana cedis.
I see. And for the roads, we've been looking into it because a chunk of the arrears that you audited, the over 68 billion cedis that you said, look, you are not going to pay. You want the Auditor General to audit these arrears to confirm whether indeed these are legitimate claims that are being made. You touched briefly on it in there that about 10 billion cedis out of the 68 billion had been disallowed. And I've been looking into the interim report of the Auditor General. It seems quite concerning. But with this Big Push, I saw that the Pokwasi Nsawam Road has been captured.
Yes, correct.
But in 2022, you were in Parliament. Some $750 million was taken from the African Exim Bank alone to construct this road. Where's the money? What did the money? What do you use the money for?
I can tell you that there's no money left. The money has been spent.
750 million.
It has been spent. It was spent before I got to the ministry, and the road is still in progress. Since I became a minister, we have paid 77 million United States dollar equivalent to the contractor. As we speak, the contractor has not generated additional invoice. But I can assure you that if he does generate the invoice or IPC, Government of Ghana will pay that invoice and to make sure that that road is completed.
But to the extent that the loan was taken in the name of the people of Ghana, and what the money was supposed to be used for, not just for the this Pokwasi Nsawam Road, the 750 million, there were quite a number of projects, the Swami interchange and so on. But some amount of money was supposed to go in there. If it has not been used for the construction, is it something you are minded to look into?
Oh, yes. I think I've already looked into it. I've seen that part of the resources was used for other expenditures other than the construction of that road.
Other expenditures like what?
I don't have the details with me, but I think if you are minded, by Monday I can share the details with you, how they use the resources from that particular loan. It was paid into an account, and how money is fungible and everything went just like that.
But the entire 750 has been drawn down?
It has been drawn down completely. It was drawn down bullet.
You say bullet like at once?
At a go.
And
that's the structure of the loan they took.
So how much have we paid back?
That loan is under restructuring.
Okay.
And it's part of the debt that we are restructuring at the moment. And I think, I don't have the details with me, but we began debt servicing before the restructuring. So some has been paid, but a chunk has not been paid.
I see. And this special arrears audit, 8.6 billion under review, 47.8 billion have been validated, legitimate claims. 10.4 billion, you say you are rejecting it. Because of what?
Okay. According to the Auditor General, some of the amount that they have rejected have already been paid, and those same IPCs or invoices have been recycled back for payment. You see,
How?
I have carefully decided not to talk about this audit yet because I'm waiting for the Auditor General to submit his report to Parliament. But Alfred, what is in the report will shock this nation.
Beyond what we've seen already.
Oh, you've not seen anything yet. Let's wait for the report. If I had not conducted that audit, about 1 billion Ghana cedis that has already been processed by the Ministry of Finance, sitting at Controller and Accountant General in the Bank of Ghana, what we call the bank transfer advice. 1 billion cedis already gone through the process with all the signatures and all would have been paid. The Auditor General rejected 1 billion cedis of the BTAs. These are BTAs that shouldn't have been issued at all because the information they brought, for example, the store's receipt advice that they brought that they have performed the function were all falsified. In some cases, they were duplicated. In some cases, they were recycled IPCs and all. But just wait for next week. Let me go through this budget and the Auditor General will issue his final report and you'll see for yourself where we were. And I said to myself that if by auditing 13 billion cedis of BTAs, BTAs are bank transfer advices. And
which essentially means
before BTAs are checks. This means I've signed a check that I've finished everything, take your check and go and get money. The only reason they stopped is I got to the ministry on the 22nd and the 23rd. I said, stop everything. Let's wait. And so when it was stopped, I said, don't pay. I wrote to the governor, don't pay, you don't pay, wait and let me conduct audit. And 1 billion of the 13 billion happens to be checks that shouldn't have been written. Let me put it this way. Now, if by auditing 13 billion, you can reject 1 billion, then the question is, based on all what we have paid over the years, how much of it is fictitious or how much of that amount happens to be illegitimate? And so I think I've always said that Ghana's problem is waste. See, we waste money too much. There's too much waste in the system. And if we are able to cut the waste, this country will progress.
But how come that these fictitious claims, duplicate, recycled IPCs, inflated invoices, falsified stores receipt, all of this, the system in the Controller and Accountant General Department, anyway,
you cannot blame the Controller. Controller is.
Who should I blame?
You can't blame. I think it starts from somewhere. For example, if an IPC has been issued, the IPC wasn't issued, for example, by the Bank of Ghana, for example, by the Controller or by the Ministry of Finance. It was generated by a ministry, department or agency.
Which is still...
And then going through the process, so they sign and bring it and charge it against their budget and bring it to the Ministry of Finance.
So it's a systemic collusion.
Exactly. And also, I think there's a lot wrong with our PFM architecture, public financial management architecture of this country. The situation is that today, government of Ghana is at the mercy of a contractor to be able to ascertain how much the state owes to X contractor. This is wrong. This is just wrong. In fact, I'm waiting for the audit report to come public and I'll announce the measures we are putting in place to curb this going forward because the system must change. And if the system doesn't change, it doesn't matter how much revenue we get, we waste it and this country will never develop. That is a legacy I want to leave. I want to change the way we process expenditure in this country and I want to be able to, at a glance, be able to know that the history and the trail of contractor X and contractor Y, based on contract that they have been awarded, how much we have paid them to date, and how much we owe them at a glance. And you should be able to know. That needs to be done. But other than that, what we are doing, we will be coming here all the time and be raising the revenue, but we will not be able to use the revenue. But if you bear with me, we'll move away from this. We'll wait for the Auditor General to issue his report. He's assured me, I've seen a copy of the report, I've read it, He's going to make it public sometimes next week, and we'll all have opportunity
because at least even with
it.
what I've been analyzing with the interim report, which I saw, there are over 3,000 contractors, companies listed on this interim report.
Yeah.
Only 25 out of the 3,000 companies account for 50 billion.
Bring me here after the audit report, and then we can have detailed conversation.
It's a bigger conversation, because then it's quite concerning. But you talk about this value for money office. Is it going to be able to deal with some of these things?
Yes.
The independent value for money.
Yes,
Just a quick one on that. I don't want to move on to
we are establishing an independent value for money office. We think it's long overdue. The current structure of value for money is more or less a given, and we need to reform how contracts are evaluated. Clearly, a lot of our contracts in the country is either inflated or overpriced. And we do not have a national architecture to be able to ascertain whether a contract A has been overpriced or has been inflated. As a result, the Ministry of Finance and government thought it necessary to establish an office for value for money. Today, we do a bit of value for money at the Ministry of Finance. The legal department does the value for money. But we need to go beyond that. We have looked at country-specific models. We've seen the United States model, we've seen the Canadian, the UK and Australian models and other models across. And so we modeled ours in line with best practice. And we think from day one, every year,
and
the independent value for money
office of the public procurement
authority.
No.
A public procurement authority does not have a mandate to do value for money. It's currently the Ministry of Finance that does the value for money.
Is the Ministry of Finance that
the Ministry of Finance? We have been doing value for money all these years.
And do you have?
We do not have the expertise to be able to do proper
so
value for money. So
then how have you been doing value for money without expertise?
But that is the question, and that is why we are coming out with this office, clothed enough with powers to be able to do.
When you announced that ECG had increased their revenue by almost 90%, from 900 million to 1.7 billion
per month,
I had quite a number of the analysts call me that, look, you need to clarify this matter, because prior to this moment, we know that ECG was making much more money than it was declaring.
Yes.
The PwC report revealed a number of things. And before the end of the year, we got to know that on the average, some 1.3 billion CDs ECG was making on a monthly basis. At some point, even in the last quarter, it increased about 1.5 billion a month. So what do you mean by it's increased its revenue by 90%?
Okay. ECG, per their books and per the cash waterfall mechanism, were reporting 900 million Ghana cedis per month. No doubt about that. If they were hiding or not disclosing everything, that is a matter to deal with. Since January, the 900 million Ghana cedis has been increased, and today ECG is reporting 1.7 billion Ghana cedis per month. And this amount is going to the cash waterfall mechanism.
I see.
In the past, it wasn't going in there. The minister responsible for energy has been working very close with the Electricity Company of Ghana. And the reforms they are putting in place has gone a long way. In fact, it has assisted the state to be able to pay the IPPs on time. And today, I can confidently say that we are no longer accruing arrears owed to independent power producers, whilst the Ministry of Finance has taken up the responsibility of paying the legacy arrears. We have actually finished negotiation with independent power producers, and I can confidently say that after the negotiation, we saved in excess of 250 million United States dollars. And then after saving that, we've been able to spread the remaining 1.2 billion equivalent, 1.1 billion for a period of 4 years. And that this year, we have already paid $300 million, and next year we are paying $344 million.
I see. So this jump in revenue is just because there's strict compliance to the cash water flow mechanism,
exactly,
and not because ECG has sort of,
Oh no, I think it's more than that.
So cutting down on the power theft and the technical losses and so on. That was also taking some money away.
So, couple of things. The first has to do with making sure that they report whatever revenue that they have accrued and collecting the revenue. Sometimes the ECG in question may collect some money and not disclose. Today they are disclosing. So if you collect something you fail to disclose, it's not revenue, isn't it? It is only when you disclose that it becomes revenue. And so they are disclosing whatever they are collecting. They've also intensified the collection.
Right.
And on the quiet, they are doing a lot of work. And based on that, they have actually increased their revenue going into the cash waterfall from end year last year, 900 million US Ghana cedis, to now 1.7 billion. And that is about 90% jump. But apart from that, their expenditures are also going down. In the past, they were buying things that they may not require for 5 to 10 years. Today, they buy only what they need. And all of that is contributing to the forward march of the cash waterfall. And today, I have said that we are paying the IPPs on time. And IPPs will confirm to you that the cash waterfall mechanism is working and we are paying them on time.
The economy, the picture looks good as you posted and painted.
Correct.
And the clear indication that we've seen is all the margins and everything we're looking at trending in the positives. The rating agencies have confirmed that, which is critical as well because of investor outlook. But your critics say, look, you can't claim credit for this. You only came to inherit a program that was carefully structured to achieve this outcome. So you were only going by the IMF program, essentially, which was entered into by the NPP. And so you've just gone by it. It's not like you instituted any policies or interventions, measures to achieve this. Why are you taking credit for this?
I've heard NPP say this, but if it was that simple, why didn't they do that? If clearly the economy can rebound that fast under their regime, why didn't they do it? And I heard the immediate past minister, Honorable Amin, my colleague in Parliament, in a press statement. I've been at the Ministry of Finance for 10 months, okay? I was there in February, yes, so 10 months, even less than 10 months. He was there for the same period as minister. And his record speaks for itself. And my record speaks for itself. So he was there same period that I was there. Okay, in fact, he was there, I think February or so, till January.
Yes.
I've been there from February now to November. So maybe he stayed even more than me. And so his record speaks for itself, and this record speaks for itself. The MPP were the same people that drove this country to the mess that we are seeing. And we had to sacrifice to be able to turn the tide. Let me say this. What we have been able to achieve is largely because of discipline and prudent policies. And the coordination we are seeing from the fiscal authorities and the monetary authorities. That is what is giving us the results. And most importantly, the backing from President Mahama. Because I couldn't have achieved the discipline that I'm introducing without the backing of the president. And because of his backing, government is able to make the necessary changes in our fiscal management. If not him, this couldn't have been achieved. I may have the intentions, but I will certainly need his backing. The sort of backing I'm getting from His Excellency the President is giving me the will, the political will to implement the reforms, very deep-seated reforms in the affairs of managing our fiscal. And that is what is yielding the results that we are seeing. It has also afforded the monetary authorities the opportunity to introduce an effective monetary policy to respond to the need of the country. Because, look, let me say this. Nothing will work, no monetary policy will work if the fiscal is not anchored properly. I'm anchoring the fiscal properly because I'm getting the political support to be able to do it. And today we are seeing the need. It didn't happen under MPP. IMF program will not succeed by itself if you do not anchor it properly. And today we are seeing the results because of management, prudent management, and political will that we are implementing. Well, they couldn't have done that. They couldn't have done it. You know how indisciplined they are. You saw that they were just spending as if there was no tomorrow.
You only came in and implemented.
What sort of process? What sort of process?
And then also ensuring that you go by what is within.
Okay, so I think if they are good at what they do and stay in that ministry for that long, they would have been able to turn the tide. And for Ghanaians to appreciate that at least they could do something. But let me say this. Prior to the election, I was a minority leader. I had publicly said that all what MPP needs to do at the time was to be disciplined and to implement policies to bring down the deficit and to coordinate effectively between the fiscal authorities and the monetary authorities. And at a point, even in Parliament, I said that a lot more can change if they do well. Yeah. Unfortunately, they did not do that.
Right.
So it is them.
I see.
It is them.
No.
We are ready to make a difference, and we are doing just that.
The city has rebounded. We've seen the appreciation. 10 city, 59, thereabout. And over the period, there was some fluctuation sometime in October, thereabout. Yes. We're going into this fiscal year where you're going to spend a lot more. We've seen the injections by the central bank. This is unsustainable.
Why?
Obviously.
Why is it unsustainable?
To the extent
why is it unsustainable? And that is the question I find it a little bit difficult to comprehend.
But why should there be the policy to sustain the gains of the city by just pumping in more dollars?
Okay, so the central bank has a role. They have a role to build reserves. They have a role to intermediate and also to introduce an effective monetary policy. They may have a target to say, this year we want to build reserves by X. By the way, we inherited 6.8 billion cedis worth of growth international reserves. And this is what President Akufo-Addo built 8 years in office, 6.8 billion. Even including what President Mahama left behind, 6.8 billion. We've been in office for how long?
They quote a different figure.
6.8 billion. Just check. It's 6.8. We came to office in January. Today, the gross international reserves is 12 billion. Almost doubled. The intermediation I'm talking about, I'll confirm that, but I know it's 6.8. The intermediation I'm talking about is such that if the central bank plans to, for example, build reserves of $1 billion, for example, this month, and they get reserves in excess of, say, 3 billion, they can decide to intermediate by giving the banks another 1 billion out of the 3 billion and build maybe twice. And that is exactly what they are trying to do. And so I want to say that the central bank is getting the needed forex. They are using some of the forex to be able to support or build buffers for the state. Yeah. But aside that, they are also spending, giving some
the tune of the interventions that we're talking about in the support of the city. 1 billion at some point, 1.15 billion,
yes.
1.4 billion.
Are you saying the central bank should not intermediate? Is that what you are trying to say?
No, not at all.
Okay, but let me ask you this.
The quantum of the...
But let me ask you this. Are they doing it at the expense of burning their bottom line? No.
There's more forex.
So there's more forex. They are doing it at the same time building more reserves.
But is that the only way to sustain the value of the sea?
But you see, first of all, if the country earns the reserves, and what you need to ask yourself is that, are they borrowing to do that? We are not borrowing to build the reserves, and obviously using the reserves to support the market. No, this is being built organically through increased exports from cocoa and gold. Ghana's exports from cocoa and gold. They are building reserves faster, at the same time using part of the reserves that they have built, the excess reserves, to be able to intermediate. Right. And I think that has been very helpful. And so I've heard some people talk about this. The difference is that they were not able to build the reserves.
Right.
Today, this group are building reserves. And we are building enough reserves, and we are using the differences to be able to intermediate and support the forward march of our currency.
I see. But in terms of dealing with the structure of the economy as well, so as to support this appreciation, because then again, we cannot do this in the long term without changing the structure, talking about the production, manufacturing.
I perfectly agree. But those things takes a bit of time. You don't, for example, improve your exports in 2 months. You can't do that. It takes some time.
Right.
You need policies in place to be able to improve on your exports.
Yes.
Industries and all. For example, we are talking of building an integrated oil palm policy that will cultivate about 100,000 hectares of palm,
right,
and be able to bring in a minimum of about 500 million United States dollars in a form of exports revenue. That will take a bit of time.
Right.
It is not overnight.
Right.
For example, the gestation period for oil palm alone is about 5 years. Cocoa, 3 years. To improve that, it will take a while. So you need some quick fixes, at the same time changing the structure of the economy. And so you don't use the quick fixes and assume that that's it. For example, I'll give you one example that happened in the energy sector. Government of Ghana, some time ago, when there was shortfall in the power generation, we brought in an emergency power, isn't it? But it was not supposed to stay for that long because it's quite expensive and all. Some are in a ship, car power and all. But our plan was to bring in these emergency powers to solve a problem, and after that, be able to build a proper thermal plant that will take a while with lower tariffs. But what has happened? Government of Ghana went to sleep since then. Today, the emergency powers are still there.
That's the same way the minorities are accusing
this is what I'm trying to tell you, that aside what we are doing, the quick fixes, we are announcing policies that will, in the long run, come in to augment the shortfalls that we are seeing. But truth be told, cocoa has rebounded.
True.
And we are seeing cocoa revenues going up.
True.
This is our cocoa. Truth be told, gold has inched up. This is our gold being exported and bringing in the revenue. That is a fact. But I'm saying that we are building huge reserves on the back of these two major commodities and other non-traditional exports. But there's a lot more we can do in future.
Okay.
And government of Ghana is announcing policies that will drive this growth, and we believe that that will be done going forward.
Has the IMF gone to sleep and allowing you to just,
you think you think IMF will sleep? You think IMF will? But what do you want them to say? They were in office for 8 years. You saw their scorecard. Everybody saw what they did. I mean, it's not for me to say. And so today, after leaving office and in 10 months, and they see significant change, obviously they will be concerned and that they want to find out what has really happened. But what has happened is simple. We are more disciplined than they are. I think that is the bottom line. and they could have done this with just being disciplined. It's not rocket science, just be disciplined. And what I've learned in fiscal management is that indiscipline can never win. You will lose if you are indisciplined, and you certainly get it wrong if you are indisciplined. And so if you decide to be disciplined, you'll succeed.
Dr. Ato Forson is Finance Minister. He's going to take leave of us, but I have a few people also joining in. As I indicated, my guest said already, Professor Godfrey Boppin is taking his seat. Just a couple of minutes. And then Dr. George Dunfair as well, for the first time in a long while, is joining us in the studio as well. Gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
You're sandwiched the Finance Minister.
Yes, and I enjoy it.
Good morning. Good morning. Good
Just to
morning.
give you safety and
So
comfort.
that we can talk a bit of economics, isn't it? Prof, how are you all? Good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you again.
But Doc, you had held the view that this progress we are seeing had nothing to do with Dr. Ato Forson. You still hold that position?
Yes, to a larger extent.
Why?
And let me say good morning to my honorable finance minister, and good morning to our cherished viewers. Yeah, you see, Ghana had a problem, especially from the year 2000. So he was talking about fiscal, discipline. If I have to even take it from that angle, you get to know that fiscal discipline is always reflected in the primary balance. And for the first time in 15 years, Ghana recorded its positive primary balance in 2017. 2018, we recorded...
At what rate?
I might not be able to give you the figure, but the fact is that it happened for the first time in 15 years. I can't give you all the figures. I've been discussing it.
The rate at which it happened also is important to the scheme of things.
I'm just bringing it to support what is currently happening at 1.5. Okay. Projection. So, what he said yesterday, 1.5 is in mind. But I'm just trying to take us back. That 2017, we had positive primary balance for the first time in 15 years. We were under an IMF program, and so the fiscal, discipline, I wasn't surprised. 2018, we had another a positive primary balance, and 2019 as well. And this was almost a history for Ghana to have primary balances for 3 consecutive years is something you don't hear. And so we entered the year 2020. And what happened, I don't need to... Hello.
Let's round it up in the
Okay.
Because he has to leave us.
Okay. So what happened in the years after 2019? I don't need to tell. Things were really difficult for Ghana, for the global economy, and it really affected Ghana. 2024. First half of the year, we had positive primary balance of 0.7%.
Okay, so the point is,
and this year during the first half of the year, we had 1.1%. And so when it's about fiscal consolidation or fiscal prudence, it's not as if we haven't seen it happening. We saw it happening indeed. There was a whole law to that that was put together. It was in Parliament, Fiscal Responsibility Act, to make sure at least we don't push our fiscal deficit beyond 5% of our GDP.
Thank you.
It was implemented in 2019, but it had to be suspended when we entered the year 2020. And indeed, 2020, I don't think anybody could have done anything to prevent the fiscal deficit that,
Dr. Let me minutes to spend with us, so...
Briefly, let me respond briefly. Prof, I disagree with you when you say that 2020, no government could have, nobody could. What did you say? That
there was nothing we could do about it. The fiscal deficit.
Okay, so let me put it this way.
I hold a different view. Let me give you a different view. I hold a different view.
Ghana is the only country in the entire Africa that did primary deficit of 12% that year. Yeah. The only country.
So are you saying...
No, let me land.
Wait.
Our peers did the deficit at the time between 6 and 5%. COVID did not only affect Ghana. Yeah. It affected, it was a pandemic. But you see, the government at the time decided to hide behind COVID and overspend. And today, we all saw the benefit of overspending. We saw it clearly. But today, I'm telling you, this is the first time I'm doing fiscal deficit a primary surplus on commitment basis at 1.6% as at September. 1.6%.
Did you say 1.5?
1.5 was the target, and I've done 1.6 as at September.
Okay.
I thought you would say well done. No, I thought you would say well done because it's not easy. And you know, Prof, you know that doing 1.6% surplus in 1 year has never happened before, and I've done it for the first time.
Okay.
And if you are saying that we have done nothing, it's unfortunate.
No, I haven't said that. That's why I was taking us back to where we were. If we had followed that trend from 2019, maybe we would have even done better than the one.
But it was suspended, and it should have been reinstated.
It was suspended, but we are talking about 2020. Let me, quickly take us there. When the budget was read, the projections were that we were going to spend 85 billion against, total revenue of 66 billion. That would have translated into 4.7% fiscal deficit, and so we would have been within the remits of the law.
Yes. Yeah. So the conversation will continue.
Then during the crisis, we spent 104 billion. Our revenue that we were supposed to rake in 66, we got only 55. Port. We all know that import duties.
Okay,
it's just a chunk of our revenue. Nothing was coming. And so we experienced that revenue shortfalls. Okay, and here you can't blame those who were managing the economy at the time for the loss of, for the shortfalls in the revenue.
Because he will have to leave us.
Let me.
He's been here and he has to exit. There are quite a number of messages, as a matter of fact. Some of them I weaved into the questions that I asked you. And Professor Bobkin is here as well, so we'll continue the conversation. This one that said, Alfred, can Dr. Ato Forson explain some of the cost build-up and when it will come down at the ports? I remember you mentioned the leakages at the ports and then also the abuse that is going on in there. It says import duty, import VAT, processing fee, ECOWAS levy, upfront payment by VAT on registered vehicle certification. That's for the import of vehicles. The number of taxes on there. Is it one that you are looking at?
Okay, I thought you allow Professor Bokpin to speak, that I can sum it up since I have to go.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, and then
I'm mindful of your time.
No, so that's let Professor Bokpin speak. And then
thank you for coming to my aid. So I think government deserves a commendation for where we are. There's still fiscal consolidation. Of course, it comes at a cost. We would analyze the cost. It's just like taking a pill that has a side effect and all of that. And let me also say that 2017, 2018 primary surplus you spoke about simply because we did not adopt a consolidated approach. We had the energy sector and the financial sector cleanup that were treated below the line and all of that, which allowed us to meet the IMF thresholds and the rest of them. And even when we passed the Fiscal Responsibility Act, that capped a fiscal deficit at 5%. We're doing more than 5% if we had consolidated the energy sector and the financial sector cleanup. If you consolidate that, we're doing around 7.1%, 7.2% and all of that. So the accounting treatment and all of that would have accounted for this. But I think that we have sufficient data to learn from our own history. And I believe that government has responded quite well in terms of the fiscal consolidation. And then now we need to cut growth going forward. I've seen the steps in the budget and the rest of them. And I think that, yes, we've paid a higher price. Here is not time to vindicate ourselves. It reminds me of what happened towards the middle of 2019 when we were exiting the IMF program. We had a forum at Imani, and we made our recommendations and all of that. Honorable Minister, since you are here, you have the option to set a new marking scheme which posterity will use to judge subsequent government in terms of how we can ensure fiscal discipline whilst we pursue growth post-IMF program.
Okay.
If we look at what is happening now, we can relate it to what also happened in 2017, 2018, when we're under IMF program, the diligence and all of that. Then when we exited the program, it looks like there was a relapse quite quickly.
Okay.
So we have an option of going that same way, of setting a new marking scheme. And I pray that 3 years from now, if we get a chance to meet here, the narrative will be different.
Will have to be.
Yes, and that is what I want to say.
Perfect.
Thank you very much,
In
Prof.
fact, we've got a quite number. Senior also says it is unfair to not attribute the fiscal and macroeconomic progress to Dr. Ato Forson and the NDC management of affairs. The gold bond policy alone is a major homegrown policy that optimizes our gold and ethics. And Dr. Ato Forson deserves that.
Okay.
Dr. Ato Forson
Okay,
deserves
so
that
let me conclude then, so that I can move to another station. Clearly, the number speaks for itself. The gains we have made is feasible, and it is measurable. The numbers they say don't lie.
True.
And so, toss it, roast it. In the end, you can see the outcome of our policies. I agree with Prof. We have a responsibility to sustain these gains. And we need to have a nice balance between consolidation, stability, and growth, and particularly job creation.
Right.
And that is the next level I'm going.
Perfect.
And you'll notice that this budget was carefully designed to, at the same time, accelerate, create jobs, and most importantly, consolidate the gains we've made over the years. That, I will do that. And I want to use this opportunity to first thank the people of Ghana for their resilience and tightening of their belt to support the gains that we have made. But I can also say that in loosening up, we will loosen up sustainably.
Right.
Create jobs, preserve growth, and allow growth to go into the real sector and invest prudently by cutting waste and directing the waste to support investment. That is where we are going. We will, at the same time, ensure that we protect the poor by shielding them. And that is why you notice in the budget that social protection budget is going up. You'll notice that
very important
LEAF budget is going up, school feeding budget is going up, and many others. In fact, even at the district level, I've increased the allocation from the District Assembly's Common Fund that goes to persons with disability from 3 to now 5%.
Right.
We are using part of the resources to buy motorized vehicles, wheelchairs, to support even people with disability and all. And so I think where we've gotten to is good. We are on the right path. But what is most important is how to sustain the gains.
Indeed.
And we'll do whatever it takes. And I'm sure next year by this time, when I appear before you again on this show to discuss the 2027 budget, the story will be the one that we have sustained gains and even move into another level of growth.
Perfect. A quick response to the tax on the taxes on vehicle imports.
You see, the taxes on vehicle imports is a build-up.
Okay.
COVID levy is going. In fact, I think Sunday the Finance Committee will meet and we'll discuss it, we'll take it to Parliament, and when Parliament approves and it gets assented, COVID will be gone. So COVID levy is going. We have also removed the cascading effect of the decoupling of GetFund and NHIL. So that alone will mean that almost 2% of the taxes at the port is going to come down. And it's part of the rationalization of the levies. And so you should wait and see that in January. So from 1st of January, all these taxes that we are removing will take place. And you can reflect it when you go to a restaurant, you can reflect it when you go to a shop, you can reflect it when you are taking something from the port.
Dr. Ato Forson is Finance Minister of the Republic of Ghana, Acting Defense Minister. Quite a number of things we had to talk about.
Thank you.
We couldn't touch on because of time. And as is indicated, there's media budget review, there's 2027 budget presentation. So there's a few times he'll make some time and join us.
Thank you.
But I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for